Hello BitzBox, this is Craig from BitzBox.co.uk here, and in this video I'm going to be painting a miniature, and what that miniature is, we will let fate decide. So I'm going to go on a website where I can spin a wheel with lots of things that are in my pile of shame, and then yeah, fate will decide what I'm going to be painting in this video. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So I'm on a website called Wheel of Names, and as you can see down the side here I've got a list of all my pile of shame, and that's put them into this wheel. And what we get is going to be a Fellblade. No, it's gone on to Fulgrim. Fulgrim from Warhammer 40,000. So let's get into it. Okay, so starting with his wings and backpack, which I have left separate just for ease of painting. I've put a matte black on there, and I'm going to start with some oxidization green, which one of my favourite colours from the Tooth and Coats range, and I'm just going to be dry brushing this over the miniature. So all these black areas of the wings, I'm just going to go over. These were painted with the Vallejo, if I can get my words out, and model colour black, which is a really matte black, which I'm a huge fan of at the moment. I always find a lot of the Citadel paints are very glossy, but this one's really matte, and it makes a good base for a lot of black. And yeah, it's quite a subtle look. You can just kind of make this one out, but don't worry, we're working up to lighter colours on this as well. And the next one is Antiquity Green. And I'm going to be focusing mostly on like the top 75% of these wings. I'm going to leave sort of the bottom 25% just with the darker oxidization green. And you can see now it's really starting to bring the colour out. And I apologise for something like this, my hand gets in the way quite a lot. It is harder to film these sort of larger miniatures sometimes. And then some mythic turquoise. And again, we're going to go maybe on the top sort of 30%. And yeah, it's really bringing these out now. And yeah, it's giving us this kind of sort of subtle gradient with the highlights, as well as bringing out that nice sort of turquoisey green colour. So yeah, that's going to be a bit of a theme in this Fulgrim miniature, is this sort of turquoise, sort of dark turquoise colour. So here I've got the actual big guy himself. I have put some flock on the base and stuff, and if we can focus, we're going to start painting some gold on him. So this is just Retributor armor, and I'm just going over all of his armor with this because I'm at this stage I'm not really 100% sure on how I'm going to do all the armor, so I'm just going to stick this on most of it. And you can see there's lots of gold on him at the moment, and I'm going to start painting some silver on him, on the sword. Some areas of the armor I'll also do silver, and this is just a Vallejo game color metallic silver. So maybe these sort of larger, flatter areas I'll do in the silver, just to give some variety to his armor. So moving on to the skin now, I'm going to take some Slaanesh grey. Makes perfect sense to take a Slaanesh colour. So yeah, this is a very nice sort of pale purpley grey colour, which I think will be perfect as a base coat for the skin. I apologise if throughout this video the focusing goes a bit funny. It's usually how it is sometimes with these larger miniatures, but you can see what's going on. And I apply this over all the skin areas, including all of the tail as well. So there we go. I said all of the tail, but not the scales on top. We'll be doing them a different colour later on. But I have done the fins as well. So now I'm going to take a purple glaze, and I am going to thin it down just a little bit more. And this is just going to go on all the gold areas, even the silver areas, and the skin areas as well. So he's going to be looking fairly purple, but it'll tie in these colours together really nicely. And once that's dry, I can come back in with the Slaanesh grey and start layering back over the skin. So we'll leave the purple in all of the recesses. And I thinned it out just a little bit more than I did for a base coat to try and get a smoother finish on top. And I do apply a couple of thin coats of this. So I am hopping around for miniature when I paint this. So I've got some Dungeon Stone Grey now from 2 thin coats, and I'm just going to base coat the rocks with this. And I'm going to take some Vallejo Black Wash and just go over the whole base. So I'm doing the base now is because it's going to be a little bit messy. So I'd rather do that now before I paint too much more of the miniature. So as I said, I'm jumping around the miniature a bit, so I'm taking some of that Vallejo Black, and I'm going to paint this on the scales of the tail. I'm doing this now just while I wait for that wash on the base to fully dry. It's pretty much there, but I'll give it a little bit longer, and that should be a good time just to do this step. And yeah, as I said earlier, I love this black because it just leaves such a nice matte finish. So I'm going to take some Morghast Bone now, and now that this base is dry, I'm just going to go Morghast Bone over all of this brown area. The dry brush might not get into every little bit, but I will be covering a lot of it up with static grass at the end, so I'm not too fussed on getting this perfect. And then Ivory Tusk, just for a further highlight on it, as I felt it just needed just a little bit more contrast. And I will admit that the base isn't something that I'm totally happy with on this miniature, and if I was doing it again I would probably do something different for the base, but it's good enough. I'll just take some Carcharodon Grey just to dry brush over the rocks as well. And then we'll be able to leave the base there for now. As I said, I'll put some static grass on it at the end. I do like how this dry brush make the rocks really stand out though. So, oxidization green again, and essentially for these scales I'm just doing exactly the same as I did on the wings, so I won't bore you too much with this. Straight in with oxidization green, which I also base coat on these robes, but I don't actually like how it looks once I've painted them, so I will be repainting these later on. I think they just get lost a little bit. Then it's more dry brushing with Antiquity Green, and then finally with the Mythic Turquoise. And with this step I'm not dry brushing just as much, just a little bit in the middle and the ends of these spines. And you can see that I've been doing the same on the robes, but yeah, I really don't like them at all, so I'll be repainting them later on. So going back to that Vallejo Silver now, so originally I was going to keep like this purple tint on the armour, but I feel it just gets lost a little bit in the sort of with the tail being purple as well. So I'm going back over it with the silver, but I am going to leave just a little bit of that purple in the recesses. In this middle bit here, I'm taking some gory red. And again, I apologise, I was just focusing on my fingers, but you can see what's going on here. So he's got like this exposed flesh area where like the skin pulled back, and that is, yeah, and then a Slanesh symbol in the middle. It's all very strange. I also, off camera, decided to thin that down and sort of glaze it over the sort of insides of where the skin is been pulled back, and I'm now just going in with a Agrax wash just to give it a bit of contrast and darken the shadow bits down. And then I just mixed a little bit of flesh colour to that red, and that's going to be used as our highlight colour. And by flesh colour I mean like Kislev flesh rather than the actual Slanesh grey that he uses for his flesh. Which in hindsight might have been a better idea, but I don't know, the Kislev flesh works quite well mixed in. So yeah, it's probably time to deal with that cloak. Let's take some of this Vallejo purple, Warlord purple I should say, one of my favourite colours, even though I can't get the name right. And I'm just going to take a couple of coats of this. But yeah, that's just going to give us a different colour, which will stand out a bit more. And I'll just give that a little purple wash as well. And then I take a lighter pink colour to layer up and some highlights. I can't remember which pink colour I used, so I apologise. So, taking some Battle Axe Brass now, I'm going to dry brush the gold areas to give them a nice highlight. I really like how the gold has actually turned out on this miniature. I think the purple wash over it works really well. So I'm going to take some blue glaze now, and I kept looking at these fins, and I don't know, something was telling me like just a little bit of blue in there to separate it from the tail would work and would look quite nice. So I thought, why not? I thinned down the blue glaze just a little bit more than usual, and yeah, just thought I'd run it in there like so. And then just come back in with a damp brush, I just feather it out a little bit. So moving on to his head now, I'm going to take some of that Carcharodon grey to base coat his hair. And then I'm going to layer some white over it. And for the horns, I'm going to take some Mornfang brown, which seems to be my go-to brown these days. I really like the sort of red-brown nature of it. I'll just give it an Agrax wash, and I'll take some sandstone to layer up some highlights. I would have preferred a more reddish brown to layer, but I don't seem to have any sort of lighter ones in my collection. I got a mixed one, but this seems to work fairly well, and just carefully highlighting up on the horns. And with that, he is done, and he's so big you can see the clips holding the background of my photo area up, but that doesn't matter. And yeah, I think it looks really cool. This is a really interesting way of trying to just clear something off my pile of shame. I will definitely do more of it. If there's anything from that list at the start of the video that you saw and then really hoped that the wheel would land on, then do let me know in the comments. I'm happy to take suggestions. Maybe some of your suggestions will help me get through this pile of shame as well, and I'll certainly do some more videos on that. If not, perhaps we'll spin the wheel again in a future video. And one thing I didn't show in the videos, there's some little gems around his tail. I just painted them with red, and the sort of larger gems that he has, I've just used the turquoisey colours. I do need to improve my gem painting skills, but I think they look okay. So yeah, if you have enjoyed this video of me painting Fulgrim, then definitely give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. And we really appreciate every view, every like, every comment, and every subscribe. It really does mean the world to us as we try to grow this channel. So all what's left to say is thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all again in the next video.